All right, and I am excited to be here today. I am Chris Hanna. If you are not sure who I am, I call myself the all-in solopreneur because I really bet on myself this year to try and go all in on creating my own businesses, my own income streams, as opposed to leaving my fate in the hands of someone else. Right now, we are in a tough world. There is a recession going on. There are people who are losing their jobs left, right, and center. It is incredibly difficult. It's incredibly challenging for people right now in today's ever-changing job market. I would say that, you know what, you got to invest in yourself and your career, and that's more important now than it's ever been to ensure that you are protected during economic downturns such as what we're going through. So today's goal, and I'm going to keep this brief in terms of this training, is that I'm going to give you practical advice, some tips, some strategies that I think are going to help recession-proof you and help you make sure you have the skills that you need to secure your future, because it is hard right now. And so instead of being stuck in fear, we're going to find a way to live in abundance, and we're going to find a way to move forward the right way and make sure that we're not doing so in an uncertain fashion. And so I'm going to share my screen here in a second and give you 10 ways that I think it's going to recession proof you as you continue to move forward. So the first thing that I want to say here is that first, thank you for being here. I know that some of you might be seeing this live, some of you might be watching this on the replay, but I think if you are watching this, you are someone who is trying to be mindful and being proactive, because that is the best way for you to move forward. And it's ultimately first about, I think, investing in yourself. The more that you can continually upgrade your skills, the more that you can stay competitive and in demand in this job market, the better you're going to be, the more success you're going to ultimately have. You see, I think you got to consider taking courses, you got to consider joining workshops, things that are maybe not only just related to what you currently do, but things that might be different than what you're used to ultimately doing. So you can develop the type of skills that are really in demand. When you can invest in your own personal development, it's going to be critical for you. Personal development is an investment in yourself and in your future. So I think you got to look at when there's opportunities to invest in workshops, retreats, or if it's working with a coach or even a therapist or a mentor who can help you reach your goals to ultimately build that fulfilling life. You're going to be set up for success. You're going to be able to ultimately thrive better. But it's going to take some work. And you got to make sure that you put in the work and the time, because it matters more than anything else right now, is that you invest in yourself. The next thing I think that's critical and important is networking. I say this here on the screen, is that your network is your net worth. And that couldn't be more true than ever right now, right? I think as we're looking at this world that we're living in, you got to make sure that you realize is that in economic downturns, when there are opportunities, they might be scarce, but your network is one of the greatest assets when you are ultimately looking for work. So contact friends, family, business associates that you used to work with, professional contacts, and stay in touch. Most people find new opportunities in business through other people. That's just the reality of it. So if you are looking for work, let them know that you're looking for work and that you're looking for new opportunities. Consider attending networking events, and also I see this happen, and I think it's important for a number of reasons, and I've seen this myself. Network outside of your industry as well. Because if you network outside of your industry, it can provide fresh perspectives, it can give you new ideas, it can give you valuable connections. So consider joining groups and attending events that might be outside of the norm for you. Don't box yourself in. You might have hobbies and other interests with other people that you meet outside of your professional circle that could maybe lead to new opportunities. Because here's the thing, you never know who might help you, right? You never know. So it's critical. So to get a mentor, get the right people around you in your circle, get the allies who could be in your corner, and that can make a world of difference in helping you course correct as well. It's also important to make sure that you look at your brand. Your brand is so critical. And I say this here, develop a strong online presence. You don't have to be creating your own personal brand in terms of, whether it's a side hustle, hobby, job, or whatever it's going to be. But you need to make sure that you stand out, that people actually know you. right? Having a solid presence in today's online job market is critical and it helps you stand out. It's very important. A solid personal brand can help you stand out from the competition because there is competition out there. You are trying to apply for jobs against other people. So consider creating a blog, maybe a podcast, an online portfolio, something that's going to ultimately share your skills, share your expertise, share your talents, share what you're really good at. Even something like this: go live on social media, post videos about who you are, what you stand for, and more importantly, like, what do you do? People want to do business with people. And so if you're just submitting resumes out, it's just a name and a piece of paper, digital or physical in person, right? Like, I think it's important to make sure you get yourself out there. And the best way you can do that is develop a strong online presence. And even this, I suggest this to a lot of people and even business owners that I talk to as well. Register your name domain. So I've got chrishanna.ca that's registered for me because that houses a lot of stuff about myself. So maybe you should do the same. If your name is John Smith, I'm sure it's gone by now, but johnsmith.com or .ca or wherever you live, that's going to help you as well. Lastly, I think it's critical and important that you remember on social media platforms such as LinkedIn, optimize it. Find a way to stand out. Give yourself a bit of a brand or a personality associated with it. As you see here, I call myself the all in solopreneur. So when people know me, they know me as that guy who says all in a lot. I'm talking about all in, whether it's hiring, whether it's leading, whether it's investing in yourself and in your business. Find a way to brand yourself, who you are, and ultimately what you do. The next thing that I think will be really critical and important, and this is self-evident, but I think a lot of people forget this, especially in dark times, is that if you are going to be going through a period where it's going to get pretty rough, hopefully you've got a rainy day fund and you've started saving for it. You need some help with maybe trying to navigate the chaos and the instability that comes when honestly the economy sucks. Save some money because job losses happen. I know this from experience. There might be other financial challenges that happen too. So if you're employed right now, ensure that you have got some sort of automated savings plan in place that's going to help you put money aside so it's there if and when you need it. Last thing you want to do is stuck and you're struggling to get by because you haven't planned ahead. Now, I get it though. Right now, things are tough. So it is very, very difficult for a lot of people to ultimately do this next thing, and that is stay positive. But it's so important because when we think about trying to stay positive, it's vital because no one wants to be around someone who's negative. Because you know what? Negativity is contagious. And that mentality is not going to bring you any value at all. If you continually stay stuck, if you continually stay in a dark place, complaining and being negative all the time, it doesn't bring anything that you want. Like, I'm a big believer in that we can manifest what we want in our lives by putting ourselves out there, putting the right vibes out there, the right words out into the universe. I always say that the story we tell ourselves always comes true. So if you're staying in a negative state, thinking, I'm not going to get this job, or this interview is going to suck, or I'm going to get fired, the truth is, all that's going to happen. Anything you put out into the universe is going to happen. So don't be negative, be positive. Like, I get it, and it's one thing to say it, it's another thing to live it, but find ways to see the good in what's going on. See it as an opportunity, as a blessing. And you know what? If you do lose your job, maybe it's the best thing that ever happened for you. You might not realize it right away, but it can make a world of difference. I think that the other thing would be really important to remember, though, as you're talking about trying to be positive, is that you also need to be really focused on being adaptable. And by that, I mean, like, it is the number one skill that you need to have, especially during an economic downturn. So don't be afraid to maybe put your hand up, to say you're going to take on a new project at work, that you are going to maybe do something you might be uncomfortable with. Because I've hired, I've promoted, and I've led over 500 people over 20 years of building leading teams across a variety of industries. And I know that the people who have thrived under challenging business situations and conditions are the ones who were the most adaptable and they were the most multi skilled. Those who are adaptable are the ones who have more options when it comes to looking for work as well. They can explore alternative career paths, and it also gives them the options. And I think that's what we need more than anything else, especially when we're going through a recession or dark economic times or a winter that looks pretty bleak that might last for a number of years. Is that you have the ability, if you're adaptable, to maybe not have to go back into the same job if you lose it, but to explore alternative paths that align better with your skills, align better with your interests long term. And honestly, it's going to provide you with more growth, personal fulfillment, and financial stability as well. So be that person who is adaptable. And also remember this as you're going through this journey that like it's okay to get help. Like don't ignore what's going on for you mentally or emotionally. Because like losing a job, having any change is stressful. It's challenging. Like I know, I've been there twice. I've lost my job and it's difficult when you get fired, but it's essential to take care of your emotional and your mental health. So maybe seek support from whether it's friends, whether it's family, a therapist. Find ways that you can manage the stress in some way, whether it's exercise or meditation or hobbies. If you're employed right now, don't neglect taking advantage of your benefits package. Use them. Don't be afraid to go ask for professional help to talk through a challenge that you might be facing. Like, I'm going to admit this publicly here for the entire world and any else who is kind of watching this, whether it's live or on the replay. I've gone through counseling before, during and after stressful situations. At first, I'm not going to lie, like I was resistant, right? I didn't want to be the guy who's kind of taking help and looking for help and assistance, but in time, I found it to be so beneficial to share my thoughts, to share my feelings, honestly, the anger that I had towards certain situations or people. And ultimately, in time, probably starting to see that those regrets and those feelings that I was having, some of them are self inflicted, or I could have done something different, or I could have reacted differently. So, whether it's a counselor, a therapist, a friend, a family member, a mentor, remember, you don't need to go alone when you're doing any of this stuff. I'm going to spend a bit of time on this one because I think this one's really important for people to remember, right? Because this is so critical. Do you stand out? And how can you diversify your skill set? Like one of my companies is focused on, helping solopreneurs and small business owners look to find top talent to bring into their business. So I help people who they know that they need to hire, but they don't know how and they don't want to do it themselves. So I'll interview and I'll connect with people, and honestly, like a lot of people. And I used to be a career coach at one point as well. So I always tell candidates that they need to stand out. Like that is your entire mission as you're going through a job search process is to stand out, be unique. Your job is to clarify how you are different and how you are the only person who should get a particular role. This is why I think it's important to make sure that you have a diverse skill set. And I think it's so essential because being employed is going to make you more valuable to your current employer and more marketable to potential employers as well because it's actually easier to get a job when you're working somewhere else. But you got to remember, like, if you are going through this process, like, how do you stand out? And the best way to do that is to make sure that you're investing in your personal development. Like, personal development is an investment in yourself and in your future. It is critical that you maybe try and attend workshops if they're available, retreats or conferences, or work with a coach to help you reach your goals and ultimately build that fulfilling life that you're looking for. At the same time, and I'm going to I want to spend some time on this is that you develop your creative skills in the process because creativity It's valuable in any single industry. And if you can help solve problems and develop new ideas, that can be pretty game changing in time as well. Like if someone wanted to hire me for contract work or freelance or do something part time, I would hope that they would do so because they see that maybe as part of my personal brand, I try to be creative, at least in my attempts to stand out and be different. I think the lesson here is that the more that you can stand out, the more that you can do things differently, different from the norm, whether it is, content creation, building your own personal brand, how you come up with ideas, how you tackle certain projects, the more you're going to stand out. And when you stand out, that's when you get opportunities. And if you're working for an employer, that's how you maybe stick around and actually navigate through the chaos that's going on because you're so valuable because of your creativity. Next, I think it's important to remember that you do need multiple income streams. So if there is that, you know, downturn that happens and you lose your job, you're not completely screwed, to be honest. So build a side hustle because whether it's recession time or you think everything's going great, it's vital for everyone to have multiple income streams. It could be a side hustle, it could be a freelance gig, but building up those different income streams in addition to building up new skills is essential. Like in my experience, trying to create different income streams, I found that it gave me a lot of different benefits beyond just money, though, right? Like I got new skills, I got new experiences, I had a broader network of people that I started to know. So if you've got an idea for a side hustle and even something small, like a couple $100 extra a month, do it. Start that business. It's going to provide you growth opportunities. It's going to help you be more creative. And if you're really successful, it gives you even more financial independence. Explore the entrepreneur that might be within you, and it's going to help you so much more than you actually could realize. The other thing that I think it really does for you, and I'll say this from personal experience, it helps you feel more fulfilled. Many people are doing work that they're not passionate about, they don't want to do. But when you have something that's your own, that's truly your name on it, you're going to be pretty damn fulfilled. It gives you the space to use your talents and to be happier. I'm not saying you need to, work all the time, right? Work a full-time job or part-time, whatever you have. And on top of this, be like working 24/7. But if you can find a way to monetize your skills, your talents, your interests in some way, it's going to give you some financial relief. It's going to help maybe make your life easier when times are tough. Like balancing everything can be difficult and challenging. So if you are looking for help, if you are looking for advice, I am obviously willing to help and assist and share just some of the lessons and stuff that I've learned throughout my career in this space as well. I think the last thing that is so critical and so important to talk about in terms of how you can recession proof yourself is to remember that you need to embrace technology. You need to stay current with what's going on in your industry. Like, I think that if you can remember to stay current, it can make such a world of difference, such an impact. Everyone by now has probably seen on social media, like the headlines all about uh, artificial intelligence. Like, I would say that on LinkedIn, like where I'm streaming right now, and in addition to other platforms that I'm also streaming to, every 3 or 4 posts seems to be talking about AI in some capacity. Chat GPT. For this reason, I think it's so important that you stay up to date with your industry's latest trends and developments. Like technology is changing the job market so much. So staying current on new technologies and software is essential. So if you're going to invest in yourself, take courses on AI or try and, just dive in yourself and be self-taught. Don't shy away from new tools, new technology. Like throughout my career, I've always booked those calls with the salespeople. The people who reach out and they're trying to like push some technology on you or their platform. I'll do it all the time. I'll book those calls. I'll take those calls. I want to hear what they have to say. So I know what's new, what's coming down the pipeline, what could disrupt my world, my industry. Or when I would go to events and conferences, I would go to the trade show hall and I would talk to the vendors to understand what's out there. Maybe some technology that you hear about or some company that you hear about might not be a fit for you right now, but maybe it's a fit for you later on in a different spot. You could take that insight, that knowledge, that connection, and leverage it somewhere else and really start to stand out again in your business or in that company or that role. Plus, you're going to look like a genius because you're on the front side of something. You're an early adopter, giving you a leg up on other people. So embrace technology, industry trends, or honestly, you're just going to be left behind. So remember, go all in and bet on yourself. Like that is the critical thing that I want to say here today. Like to survive and thrive, honestly, in this shifting economy, it's more important now than ever to remember the importance of investing in yourself and your career to protect yourself. Look, there's no such thing as loyalty. You could be the best worker and be fired tomorrow. Let that sink in. Everyone is replaceable. So you need to find a way, though, to protect yourself. You need to increase your value and your security in the job market. Make sure that you are as employable as possible. The best people who are going to come out of a recession are going to be those people who are adaptable, who are skilled in multiple areas, they're confident to take action, they've got a strong network, and they're focused on generating multiple income streams for themselves. And when the opportunity arises, they go all in. So for anyone watching this live, I want to say thank you so much for attending. Like I just appreciate when people, attend, they show up or they watch after the fact. If there's any sort of comments that you have that you want to share throughout this, happy to kind of help and answer them. Always happy to get on a call and talk and really support each other because I think that's the important thing that we need to remember to do. We need to support each other when we're going through tough times. And if you've got a feedback on this or you want other topics that you would love me to cover in the future, always happy to do so as well. Just remember that it is never too early or too late to start investing in yourself and your career. With dedication and hard work, you can achieve your goals and you can secure your future even during tough economic times. So I look forward to going live again soon, going all in on it. Until next time, again, if you've got questions, you got feedback, don't hesitate to reach out. I wish everyone nothing but the best as we continue to evolve and reinvent ourselves here in 2023.